Patrick. Philip and I are here today with another talking point. How are you doing, Philip?
Hey Patrick, I'm doing just fine. That's right, there's both of us here in this talking point. It's a Cobra Convergence special after all, so, we had to make it a little special. How are you, Patrick?
It's going great over here. I just thought today we would talk about just one figure. Now that may seem like it's not much, but this figure I think had a significant contribution to the G.I. Joe brand. And for more reasons than you may realize when I first show it to you. It's a Cobra Commander figure. He definitely has had some playware. I do believe that a kid had this and was playing with him for some time. And you will note that those are not the arms that you normally see on a Cobra Commander, and there's a reason for that. You could see in a picture here that these are swivel arm battle grip arms, and they're actually not the ones that were released on Cobra Commander, because not only are they a different color, these ones are black, but they actually lack the rivets in the shoulders. This is a sample that had come back to Hasbro. I'm not quite sure why they didn't utilize this design. If I had to guess, I would guess that it failed some safety tests, but as evidenced by a little bit of playware, I do believe that a kid had this, played with it for some time, and the arms are intact. It's not the only one of this figure that has popped up. And you may have seen this figure before if you went to JoeCon and looked in the Joe Declassified booth. I know for a fact that this one or one of the other ones has actually appeared there. Now, as we know, in 1982, G.I. Joe figures actually had less articulation in the arms because the construction of them was based on a Mego action figure that actually had been designed based on Microman, which in turn was designed on G.I. Joe. So all is good as far as the circle of design goes. But several people at Hasbro, especially Vice President Bob Prupus at the time, were pushing for G.I. Joe to be better than their competitors. And one of the major ways that they did that was by adding swivel arm battle grip. So very early on in '82 this actually began. Because I know personally the Steeler and Mobat that were under the Christmas tree in 1982 at my place, it was actually my brother's, not mine. That one actually had swivel arm battle grip, so these did make it out. And my mail-in Cobra Commander actually had swivel arms. I didn't even know for a while that there was a straight arm Cobra Commander. But they definitely were working on this very, very early. And this figure, to me, not only represents then the evolution of Cobra Commander's design, because obviously it is a pre-production Cobra Commander, but it also represents a pre-production figure in the process for all the G.I. Joes that came after that used swivel arm battle grip. So this figure does have quite a significant piece of history to show us. Now, the interesting thing is that quite directly, the sculpt on these arms, because they didn't just use the same sculpt as the straight arms, they actually did new sculpts for the biceps on swivel arms. This sculpt didn't appear just once or twice. I don't really know who to attribute it to, whether these are Cobra Officer arms or Cobra Commander arms. The strange thing is the forearms on this Cobra Commander are actually from Cobra Trooper, who was Cobra at the time, and that figure didn't end up using these biceps. But these are the figures that did. Cobra Commander, Cobra Officer, Steeler, Flash, and Grand Slam, and then they continued using it in later years with Major Blood, at least his left arm, Airborne, Doc, Tripwire, Wild Bill, Duke, Firefly, Ripcord, Scrap Iron, Stinger Driver, Crimson Guard, Steel Brigade, and they were even adapted slightly for Barbecue. If you look at the sculpt on Barbecue's upper arms, it matches as far as the folds go, but he has that extra pocket there on the side. Now, I kind of wish that they'd added that extra pocket when it came time to do Flash and Grand Slam, but I would imagine with some of those 1982 figures, they were kind of in a hurry to get them to market. And so this sculpt actually has appeared a lot across the course of G.I. Joe, as well as being the earliest sample that we know of in plastic of a swivel arm figure. And of course, I probably should also mention one of the more obvious reuses of it, which would be Hooded Cobra Commander. And that is a great segue for me to thank Hooded Cobra Commander 788 for Cobra Convergence 5, which is what this video is a part of. I would like to thank him for inviting us to join this year. It's great to be a part of the videos, and you should check our comments for links to other videos so that you can just keep watching throughout the month. There have already been several Cobra Convergence videos, and there's more to come. Okay, looking more into this, one of the things that I go to as soon as I see one interesting pre-production thing is I try to look at what else was available in that year. And by looking at the 1983 Hasbro Toy Fair catalog, I think that we can find some interesting stuff. Okay, and as soon as I open it up, of course I actually see one of the callouts there, because Hasbro was doing quite a lot to promote Swivel Arm Battle Grip. It even says right there on one of the first pages, new realistic two-handed Swivel Arm Battle Grip. Now, one of the first things that I want to mention about this catalog is that some of the figures in here may be FEPs, meaning Final Engineering Pilots. Those would be early ones sent back from the factory to Hasbro, and oftentimes they would be used for photography. And others in here are actually resins, meaning that they are made by hand, hand-painted, and you can see in the elbows and the shoulders of some of them that instead of having a standard rivet with a head on one end, it's actually a tube that was then flanged at both ends in order to hold the arms together. You can even see a picture in here of Gung Ho, and you could see straight through his arm. But on the main page, it kind of reveals what the timetable was for the creation of some of these figures. Of course, Cobra Commander with his swivel arms, he is a finished figure, and that's also true of Gung Ho and Airborne, but figures like Doc, who would have used these arms, and Tripwire, who would have used these arms, are actually resin. And strangely, Major Blood actually appears to be resin, even though he would have been released earlier on as a mail-in. So it's kind of funny to me that Major Blood looks unfinished while other characters from the 1983 collection are further along. But looking at some of the ones that I mentioned, strangely in this catalog, it's actually an older picture of Steeler. I think that what we need to keep in mind here is that not everything was probably photographed at the same time, and not only do you have your timeline of trying to get things done in order to get them on the shelf, but you also have to get things done in time to get them to the photographer. One of the things, I guess, of the figures that I mentioned that I find super interesting is that both Grand Slams in here, the one that come with the HAL and the one that comes with the Jetpack Jump, are both straight arms. And that's extra weird because a Silver Pads Grand Slam was never released with straight arms. So you never know what you'll find inside some of these Hasbro catalogs. Now, the Cobra Commander that appears on that main page is a finished figure, but it seems that a finished figure may not have been available when it came time to photograph the vehicles. Because here we have a picture of a prototype Cobra Fang, and inside of it is a Cobra Commander with swivel arm battle grip, who clearly has the piping holding his arms together. Now, that's a little bit strange because this figure in the shoulders didn't require piping and didn't even require a rivet. It appears to me that it has an internal plastic peg, which probably was not as durable as the metal rivets. Strangely though, the Cobra Commander that is pictured piloting the Fang is actually a swivel arm Mickey Mouse Cobra Commander. That doesn't really make a whole lot of sense until you realize that what must have happened in this situation is that they took a straight arm Cobra Commander and just painted and attached arms to it. But it kind of indicates and speaks to the point where, yeah, the Mickey Mouse Cobra Commander may have just been what they had lying around whenever they went to make this, but it's also possible that whenever they were working on swivel arms, that actually was the current logo, which would mean that Swivel Arm Battle Grip came very early along as far as in the planning stages. And I guess the other thing I want to say about this figure is that I like that we can see that as far back as 1982, they were already thinking about adding sculpting detail to the shoulders and kind of hiding those rivets. That's something that didn't really become a standard until the 25th anniversary line in 2007, and actually we'd had that toward the tail end of Valor vs. Venom as well. But at this point, that's definitely one of the key components of G.I. Joe is some of the great joints that they have with hidden construction. And this wouldn't have been made the same way. Those figures, the way that they actually do them, if you look at them, there's two different kinds of plastic and one is injected over the other. Whereas this one still has the sonic weld on the sides, just as all of the swivel arm figures did, but it does not have a hole for the rivet to go through. That about does it. Philip, did I miss anything? I have a tendency to talk a lot, and I'm sure that you had something to add, so I apologize. What did I miss?
Well, Pat, I think you missed that a prototype swivel arm Cobra Commander shows up in the 1982 commercial where he steals the vamp.
Ah, yes, the commercials. Good point. You're always good for having a keen eye on the G.I. Joe commercials.
Well, it's a little hard to make out in this ad since the video quality isn't the best, but you can see it is, in fact, a tube construction arm. You can see a little bit through the joints, and it's not a traditional bolt like a production figure would be. But also, this is not the same construction as the figure that Patrick has. It's obviously an arm that matches in color with Cobra Commander.
I would guess that Cobra Commander has the Mickey Mouse logo in both the catalog and the commercial, not because it's the same exact figure, but because of the fact that they wanted to get Swivel Arm Battle Grip in their advertising, and they probably just grabbed two Mickey Mouse Cobra Commanders because that's what they had available, put the swivel arms on them, and sent them out. So I don't think that those would be the exact same figure. It would be the exact same effort.
Now, if you're looking for just examples of these prototype arms, a good example is the 1983 APC ad. Not only do they highlight the swivel arm battle grip, but most of the figures shown with this in the ad are still prototype figures with the tube joint construction. Especially when you look at Rock and Roll, you can see he's using the smooth upper arms that are more familiar with Cobra or Doc, and not the rolled up sleeves that his production figure has. This Cobra Commander figure really is a sort of revolutionary adjustment to the line that helps distinguish it from the Mego construction and more into G.I. Joe's own identity as a man of action, giving us a grip that is a little more useful than just the straight up and down that you had previously.
And again, I would like to thank Hooded Cobra Commander 788 for including us, and like, share, and subscribe.
We're really happy we got to be part of this Cobra Convergence, and that we've been acknowledged as being worthy of being a part of this event. So yeah, we're really thankful that we get to participate in this event.
And tomorrow on Cobra Convergence 5, you will have a video from Green Yeti 907. So definitely tune in for that, and thanks again.
Thanks for watching this episode of Articulated Points. We hope you enjoyed it, and we'd appreciate it if you would like, share, and subscribe. If you'd like to learn more about some of the toys featured in this episode or want to follow us on social media, links are in the description below this video.